cars and many, many people.
Words of greeting from the father of Expo 67, Jean Drapeau.
But first, our daredevil here, Wayne Couzens, challenges another Expo thrill ride. Does he win? Let's find out.
Standing there alone, the ship is waiting, all systems are go. Are you sure? Control is not convinced, but the computer has the evidence. No need to abort. The countdown starts. 4, 3, 2, 1. Earth below us, drifting, falling, floating, waveless, calling, calling home.
Let's not do this anymore.
Dr. Radúz Činčera is not exactly a household name, but chances are you will soon come to love his work. He's the designer of the unique audiovisual displays in the Czechoslovakia Pavilion at Expo 86. I met him recently in Prague. This is the Prague airport. Dr. Radúz Činčera is boarding a plane for Canada. He's carrying with him the films for his brand new audiovisual experiences at Expo, films that have been the focus of his work for almost 2 years. Late last night at a Prague movie theater, Dr. Činčera previewed the films for co-workers and friends. He explained to them his actorscope process, which puts the audience right in the picture and makes them feel a part of the action. Then the actorscope film itself, a magical flight that begins in Stanley Park in Vancouver and takes the audience all the way to Czechoslovakia. Dr. Činčera used a cluster of balloons to simulate the gondola in which some of the viewers will sit.
What we want to emphasize is the feeling that we are in the picture, which merely is a figure of speech, but here it literally means that people are in the picture, part of the motion picture.
After leaving Vancouver and crossing the Atlantic, the actorscope flight takes us on a tour of Czechoslovakia. It's obviously part of a campaign to sell us the country as a tourist destination. And why not? If our recent trip is any indication, it's a beautiful place to visit. Wandering over the Czechoslovakian countryside, it seems there's a castle around every corner. That's because there are over 1,500 of them, and the Hloboka Castle in southern Bohemia is one of the finest. Hloboka is a 144-room chateau built in the mid-19th century as the home of the Habsburg family. It's a magnificent building, both inside and out, but in case you get carried away with its fairy tale appearance, you should know that the original owner was beheaded in the front yard. Czechoslovakia's castles come in all shapes, sizes, and states of repair. This one looks impressive at a distance, but proves to be no more than a craggy ruin. And this recently restored castle overlooks the Slovakian capital, Bratislava. In fact, the restoration is still underway. Perhaps Bratislava typifies modern Czechoslovakia, a mixture of very old and very new. The Danube River flows through Bratislava. It's not exactly blue, but it's still a very important waterway. By boat, it's about an hour to Vienna that way and an hour to Budapest in the other direction. Bratislava has other attractions too. The Presidential Palace, an impressive memorial to the first worker president, and something else the workers might fancy, the largest beer hall in the country, 10,000 beers a day. Not far north of Bratislava is the spa town of Piešťany. People with a variety of ailments come here to seek the healing powers of the spa waters. There are several such famous spas across Czechoslovakia. It's a delightful little town, the perfect spot for a quiet, restful holiday. Then the high country. This impressive range is the High Tatras, a year-round vacation spot. Great skiing in the winter, but also a very popular summer resort. Finally, the magic of Actorscope takes us to Prague, ancient city on the banks of the Moldau, a cultural and historical wonderland. Our balloon sets us down on the cobblestones of the old Charles Bridge. It's almost 10,000 miles from Stanley Park in Vancouver to the Charles Bridge in Prague. During Expo 86, thousands of visitors will take that imaginary journey with the help of Actorscope. But the Czechoslovakian government hopes many will be inspired to take real journeys to Prague so they can enjoy in person the many things this country has to offer. From Charles Bridge in Prague for World Stage 86, I'm Ramona Marr.
Still ahead on World Stage, a new review to sell the BC image. And the Dutch masters come to Vancouver. No, not the cigars, the paintings.
We're ready at the BC Festival of the Arts.
What's careful service? Well, for openers, it's available only at Chevron, and only at selected Chevron Hallmark Award stations.
Nylon, and it takes only a slight wind to make it billow. This is not slow motion. That's the way it flies. Oh, Canada.
As hosts of Expo 86, the people at the BC Pavilion are very anxious to show off our province. But how do you do it in such a way that's both refreshing to locals and visitors alike? Here's the answer, the BC Review.
There's one restaurant counter on the Expo site where service is going to be virtually non-existent, but it will be enjoyable just the same. This represents a small cafe along the Alaska Highway, one of several scenes you'll see at the BC Review inside the British Columbia Pavilion. 9 refreshing scenes and various maps make up the BC Review. Each one represents a different area of the province. Within the sets are life-size figures created by Vancouver artist Camrose Ducote. Perhaps Camrose ought to sculpt a character from BCAA to help this poor soul out. Right now, these scenes stand on their own, but visitors to the BC Review will soon be tapping their toes to songs like this one about one of our renowned open-liners, Jack Webster.
When you wake up in the morning and you're darn near dead, the world's on your shoulders and a pain in your head. Don't jump out the window, turn on your radio, listen to the man with something apropos now. Try to remember just what I said, sir. Pack up your troubles, take them to Jack Webster. Ooh, da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da. Jack Webster, the talkative Scot. Jack Webster, aye, time forgot. Jack Webster, somewhat dour, with a mouth that's moving and a heart that's pure. He's got a brain sitting in his head, sir. All Vancouver loves the Jack Webster. Ooh, da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-da.
Playwright John Gray was invited to write the 18 songs in the BC Review by exhibit producer Mark Osborne. Mark admits BC is presented in a whimsical light, but he's not apologetic.
I think that the province is mature enough that it has capability of being able to laugh at itself. And I think that one of the things that I've discovered in my research on the province is the wonderful characters and personalities and innovators and that do live throughout the province and have their very unique perspective on their particular area. And so we've tended to accentuate and work with those elements which we have found interesting.
Canoeing up the river, tramping down the trail, New Westminster in the morning, next day walk to Yale. Cold heat, rain or sleet, never known to fail. Here come Red Shirt Bill with the Royal Mail.
The singers who bring the BC Review alive work in two rotating groups. Red Shirt Bill with the Royal Mail is another tune you may hear when you visit the Review.
Here come Red Shirt Bill with the Royal Mail. With canoe and dugout, he ain't got no Chevrolet. Up and down a mountain slope, Princeton to Hope, he rode in just a day. Mail pack on a sack before they got the road on rail. His name is Red Shirt Bill, bringing in the Royal Mail. Well, canoeing up the river, tramping down the trail, New Westminster in the morning, next day he walked to Yale. Cold heat, rain or sleet, never known to fail. Here come Red Shirt Bill with the Royal Mail. Union break.
For a new look at British Columbia, shows at the BC Review run daily from noon to 8 p.m.
Canoeing up the river, tramping down the trail, New Westminster in the morning, next day he walked to Yale. Cold heat, rain or sleet, never known to fail. Here come Red Shirt Bill with the Royal Mail.
There are many events taking place in Vancouver this year that are connected with Expo 86, but are not actually part of the fair itself. Bill Dobson takes us for a look at a classic example.
The people of the Netherlands wanted to bring something special to Expo, but the nature of their exhibit made it almost impossible to display in an on-site pavilion. The complete climate control of a major art gallery was needed to preserve the priceless art treasures of the Dutch masters. The show, called The Dutch World of Painting, has brought 100 classic works to the Vancouver Art Gallery until the end of June. The Netherlands Office for Fine Arts didn't just assemble a collection by the big-name artists, although there is a wonderful painting by Rembrandt called Portrait of a Man, and there's a Van Gogh titled Head of a Peasant with a Pipe. What they have brought is the Dutch World of Painting, designed to show the society of Holland in the age of the great masters. Robert de Haas, director of the Office for Fine Arts, says he's pleased that most of the visitors are taking time to read the captions.
All these labels are telling the other stories behind just the image, you know. And mostly there's a lot of symbolic meaning in such a painting, or it tells a little bit about the commissioners or the people who owned the painting. All those sort of things are important for the knowledge.
The paintings are being kept at strict temperature and humidity to preserve the artwork. In a section called The Invisible World, there's a work titled Interior with a woman playing clavecine to a man. But where is the man? If you look in the shadows, you'll find him in her bed. It's a fascinating exhibit, here for Expo, but here for the art world. From the Vancouver Art Gallery for World Stage 86, I'm Bill Dobson.
This is our final Expo guide, and we'd like to take this opportunity to pass on some valuable sources of information about Expo. This is the official Expo souvenir guide. It's just packed with good information about the fair. Everything you'll need to know to plan a day at Expo and to navigate your way around the site. It's full of color pictures, maps, and descriptions of all aspects of this great event. It's a very attractive publication too, so it makes a wonderful souvenir. You can buy the souvenir guide at any newsstand or at the Expo site itself. The price is $5. But there's another publication you should also know about. It's available also at newsstands. It's called the Inside Guide. The Inside Guide is a quarterly magazine, and the current issue is devoted entirely to Expo 86. The extraordinary thing about it is the amount of detail. It's really amazing. It outlines every pavilion, every specialized period, every attraction, and it contains a calendar that lists the events for every single day of the fair. It's not quite as colorful or as slickly produced as the official guide, but it's not as expensive either. The Inside Guide costs $2.95 at most newsstands. Browse through a copy and see if you're impressed. But if you'd rather not spend the extra bucks, you can bet newspapers and magazines will have free guides out sooner or later. But if there's something that they can't tell you, phone this number, 604-660-EXPO. That's 604-660-EXPO. And that's Expo Guide.
The British are bringing to Expo the world's fastest commercial jet, the Concorde. They're also bringing the world's fastest car. As for boats, well, what they lack in speed, they make up for with charm. Bill Dobson discovered the Brummagem boat.
Hello and welcome to the program. Well, while the rest are back at the mill slumming it, I've decided to come out and enjoy what has turned out to be quite a sunshiny day on the canals of Birmingham. And actually, I think I better come clean because as you can see, looks as if the tide's gone out, doesn't it?
The host of the show interviewed Julian Stanton, the director of Brummagem Boats.
Well, it's going out to Vancouver to the Expo 86, which is a World International Convention on Transportation Communications. We're hoping that someone out in America will see the boat, and it remains as a constant publicity for Birmingham out there.
The boat was shipped from Birmingham to Vancouver in a container aboard a freighter, and it arrived in mint condition. I found it moored at the Marine Plaza at Expo 86. Mr. Stanton was on board preparing his boat for exhibition. He told me that he purposely set out to get it here to promote the canal travel industry of Britain.
We heard about it, first of all, that the Expo was on transportation and communications. We approached the British participation and said, well, you can't have anything on transportation in Britain down here unless the canals are represented. It didn't quite fall in line with the image of Maglev, Concorde, and everything else, the futuristic image the British Pavilion is providing. But certainly the Expo authorities were very keen on this boat, and certainly they asked for this exhibit to come across here.
This vessel was built especially for Expo. It includes all the traditional niceties of the canal craft. Sleeps 4, cooking facilities, hot and cold running water, fridge, toilet and shower, and even a small coal-burning fireplace. Its presence here will also help to promote Birmingham's bid for the Olympics in 1992.
Will you get to see Expo? I'm seeing a bit of it now, but I hope to bring the family back at the end of June, and then also do a bit of vacation round here.
From the city of Birmingham, for World Stage 86, I'm Bill Dobson.
Coming up on World Stage, Jean Drapeau passes the torch to Canada's newest expo, and Hystar takes her maiden flight. Look, Ma, no hands.
In every car, TLO. Developed by Shell to give your car year-round engine protection. TLO. High-performance technology. Top engine protection to keep you on the move.
You know, Vern, fishing ain't a sport. Fishing is an art. Come on, baby. Come on. Know what I mean? You just put it in there where you want it. Easy. And ease it along the bottom. And then when the time is just right, come on. You reel it in as fast as you can. Ah. Yep. There you are. Another Pacific Pilsner. That's a keeper. That makes 6, Vern. You know, I think I'm going to go have my picture took.
Pacific Pilsner from the Pacific Western Brewing Company.
Here's a tool you've never seen, the new electric green machine. You can cultivate your flower bed, cut your weeds. You can aerate your soil, transplant with ease. Mix plant food in to keep your garden green. There's so many uses for the green machine. Trim garden edges like a dream. cut through sod so neat and clean. It's the perfect tool for your landscape scene. You're going to love the green machine, the green machine, the green machine, the green machine.
Available at Woodward's, Canadian Tire, and McLeod's.
Here it comes. Save on Foods Price Leaders. Sensational savings coming your way this week only.
Don't miss the Fresh Strawberry Spectacular on now at Save On Foods. California-grown, Canada-grade #1 strawberries. The price per flat, sensationally low. Hurry in for the Fresh Strawberry Spectacular, April 27th to May 3rd.
Save on Foods. Price Leaders.
Normally, cars won't be allowed on the site during Expo, but there'll be one car that warrants a second look. It's Nissan's MID4. Why MID4? The engine's in the middle. It has four-wheel drive, four-wheel steering, and four-wheel disc brakes. Nissan is out for the Ferrari-Lamborghini market. The price, $50,000 to $60,000, and it will hit the market in the near future. The production car will have collision avoidance radar, a computer navigation system, and rain-sensitive wipers. The wipers will come on when the rain starts. Perfect for Vancouver.
Canada's last great success in the World's Fair business was, of course, Expo 67 in Montreal. The great moving force behind that fair was Mayor Jean Drapeau. Well, 19 years later, he's still the mayor, still a very controversial figure, and still very enthusiastic about World's Fairs. Cam Cathcart talked with Monsieur Drapeau in Montreal.
From his office in Montreal's stately City Hall, Mayor Jean Drapeau has governed that city for more than 25 years. The man who made Canada's only other World Fair possible, Expo 67, is excited about Vancouver's Expo 86.
I want to live again that excitement, and I know that everything is done to make it a great world event, and needless to say that I like world events, and especially in Canada.
Montreal left most of the symbols and installations of Expo 67 intact. Parts of the old site in the middle of the St. Lawrence River are now used for special events during summer months. Mr. Drapeau says Montreal became a world city after Expo 67, and he believes the same can happen for Vancouver.
Mayor Drapeau, do you have any advice to offer the people who are running Expo 86?
Well, I wouldn't dare give any advice because it's always a new experience. And circumstances are not the same, location is not the same. So the people of Vancouver must know much better than I would what and how to do it.
Would you describe an Expo event as an emotional experience?
Yes, the word emotional is right. And I think it will be absolutely the same thing in Vancouver. And when the Vancouverites will see all the visitors during 6 months, it's not just for a championship of 2 or 3 days. It's 6 months. Foreigners will be living in Vancouver and sharing the kind of life they live in Vancouver and BC all over. So they will realize even more at that time that it is not just an exposition, it is an institution.
Transportation comes in many exotic forms at Expo 86, but one of the most unusual is a flying machine that does its flying inside the Canada Pavilion. Phil Dobson went to look.
If you saw one of these hovering over your house, you'd probably say it was a flying saucer or a flying donut. Well, it's Hystar, a kind of flying donut in which the donut is filled with helium instead of calories. It's one of the newest flying machines, and its designers say it can do anything a helicopter can do, but it's more controllable. It goes up, down, forward, sideways, backwards with equal ease, and when it hovers, it can achieve a dead stop in the air. It'll likely be built for such jobs as mountainside logging, petroleum, agriculture, telecommunications, many others. I'd like to have one to fly me to work during Expo. No traffic jams, no muss, no fuss, and I could park on top of the CBC building. Who would know? Now, I wonder if a person could build one himself. Well, the first thing you need is a donut. Let's see. Fly, you little devil. Fly. Maybe it doesn't work with chocolate.
Next week on World Stage, our entire show will come from right here on the Expo site.
The fair will be open, it'll be full of people, and this fabulous 5.5-month event will be underway.
Our happy task will be to bring you as much Expo as we possibly can, and there's lots to see.
And once you see it, you'll want to be here. No matter where you live across Canada, try to make a visit to Vancouver part of your summer plans.
Meanwhile, join us here on CBC every week at this time. For World Stage 86, I'm Wayne Cousins.
And I'm Ramona Mars. See you at Expo.
This is CBC.